Guys, we're going to do something a little new. We are going to have a conversation about The Witch, which just came out on Blu-ray this month. We all three watched it. We all three have opinions, and we're going to converse now about that. This is not a review of the movie, but there will be spoilers. So if you have not seen the movie, go watch it. Though I feel that even with spoilers, it doesn't ruin this movie, and we'll get into that now. So if you have not seen the movie and you want to watch the movie, please pause it now. Go watch it. It's only like $16, $17 on Blu-ray. Currently, I don't know if it'll raise or go lower in the future.
Hell, it's already in Redbox.
Yeah, it's not expensive. Go watch it. So, The Witch came out 2015.
The VVitch.
What?
It's spelled with two V's. It's the VVitch.
The VVitch. In Russia, the VVitch. Vitch is you.
All right, I have to start off with, am I the only person out of the three of us that liked this movie?
Okay.
I didn't hate it. It wasn't like, this is a terrible movie. I just didn't really enjoy it.
Okay, yeah, let's go off let me start, before we go into this right now, because it's going to be someone that's more extreme than Kenneth, who, like, jerks off to this movie and is going to want my head. I respect this film from a movie standpoint, the cinematography, the directing, the acting, the work that was put into this movie is phenomenal. It is great. But this movie is boring as shit to me. It was just boring, and did I mention that it was slightly boring?
I think you've made that abundantly clear.
Yeah, it was a little boring.
Yeah. So, with that being said, we're going to... Kenneth, tell us why you enjoyed this movie so much.
Well, I mean, in my opinion, I really just don't think enjoyed covers how much I enjoyed this. I was enthralled in the movie from the beginning. But then again, anybody that knows, and for people out there, my background on this kind of thing, I've always been interested in, these types of stories and the old school folklore and things like that. And when I went back and watched it a second time, it actually brought back things that I had forgotten about this. Things that I learned about, the Salem witch trials and things like that, and going into it, even though this doesn't have anything to do about the witch trials, it's still, it brought back a whole lot of the lore to me from stories about, this time period. So that was really what pulled me into it. Not to mention, I really like, devil movies, demon movies, possession movies, things like that. And so, that was the reason why it kind of grabbed me right from the beginning. And
gotcha.
I was just enthralled in it. I loved it.
So I think Jay and I are on the same page with how we feel about this movie. I want to state that going into this movie, I expected a horror movie. Stephen King said that this movie scared the shit out of him, and I should have known that someone who would spend 2 pages writing about a fucking lamp would lie to me, even though I do like Stephen King.
I've come to not trust anybody's review, even if it's someone like Stephen King, because I love Quentin Tarantino movies, and when Wolf Creek came out, he's like, it's my favorite horror movie. I was like, cool, Quentin Tarantino liked it, it must be good. And that was a whole lot of nothing, too. And so I was like, well, never listening to you again.
We won't even get in on that, because I have a completely different opinion about Wolf Creek, too.
Oh. All right, guys, we might have to do Wolf Creek soon. This movie is an art film that uses the thin veil of horror to make its movie. It is a period piece through and through. And so on those aspects, it did a wonderful job. I couldn't understand half of what these motherfuckers were saying because they were talking so true to the 1600s that I was sitting there listening with full intent, and I was just like, I know y'all aren't mumbling, but it really feels like you're mumbling. The dad sounds like Satan. The boy, Caleb, sounds like he constantly had the dick in his mouth. I just can't
Now,
understand.
I agree about the accents. They were like super heavy. The terminology is easy enough to figure out if you have at least a little bit of common sense. But
Did you just say that about me? Shots fired. Okay.
I had to go back and rewind it and turn on subtitles to understand some of the stuff they were saying. I kind of disagree about the art film thing. I feel like there's so many subgenres of horror that to just discredit this as a horror movie isn't really fair, because it has all the elements of horror. There's something after this family. There's a terrifying unknown object to them that is causing them some kind of strife. And if we can classify so many other movies within the broad spectrum of horror, that I wouldn't discredit this as a horror movie.
Let me clarify that I don't discredit as a horror movie, but this movie is an art house movie that is exploiting horror. It is not this, like I told Kenneth that the if you are like a super gore hound, or like you're really only into horror movies for like the hardcore violence, you're not going to like this movie. And I want to differentiate me from that. I am not that. I respect the movie, but it is an art house film that uses a horror theme, and I just think it uses it very thinly.
Yeah, I could understand that, I guess.
So
to an extent, but I agree with Jay. I mean, it's got the main foundation of a horror movie, man.
You know, y'all keep talking about this, and y'all are gonna have that dude who did Tree of Life make a horror movie, and then y'all are gonna regret ever talking like that.
Well, anybody can make a horror movie. Doesn't mean it's gonna be good.
I know. I've
this
seen
one
a lot of
was.
horror movies. But yeah, okay. So with that being said, I want to talk about what I think would have made this movie better. I want them to take out all 3.5 scenes of the witch from this movie and turn it into a more psychological horror movie where we don't know whether it's all in Thomas's head, it's all weird coincidence happened to Thomason. I would like to remove the witch because I think having the witch in there and showing us from the get-go that is an outside force and not just like their own like paranoia and like religious zealot overtones doing it onto themselves.
Yeah.
I thought bringing the witch in kind of
cuts the tension because when he's yelling at his kids and accusing them of being witches, and the mom's like, "You're a witch," like you're like, well, clearly she's not, and it's the witch. But if the witch wasn't shown, at least as soon as it was anyway, then there would have been way more tension in those scenes, and you'd be like, what the fuck is going on? Where did their kid go? We don't know where the kid went. And
yeah. It would have been so much more interesting to me and entertaining to me. And then a lot of scenes that would, like, because this whole movie, I felt like something was going to happen and nothing ever fucking happened. That because I knew there was a witch. If the baby had gotten jacked, if Caleb the boy had shown up like he did with no explanation to what the fuck happened to him, and we have no idea if she did this to him, or if like the Thomason did this to him or not, like that would have like dragged me in a lot more, because I would have been sitting the whole time going, is she crazy? Is she a witch? Does she not know she's a witch? Does she just have split personality disorder? Is she like Jekyll and hiding this? I have no idea, and that would have made this movie so good to me.
Well, see, all right. I'm going to go ahead and go into this. The thing that I think that this movie is lacking more than anything else, and it came to my mind today when I was watching it again. The details that aren't explained, that only people that you know are interested in that sort of thing like myself would recognize, aren't explained to people that aren't into it, and I think that was a problem that the movie had. Give
me an example of that, because
yeah,
I'm headed to that. Okay, like
Okay.
first, one of the and this is actually said in another movie. One of the first things that came to mind is when she takes the baby. Okay, we see her making the baby goo after she kills the baby. All right, we see her making the baby goo. Well, one of the oldest things that's in folklore for witches is that the way a witch could fly is she would take the fat of a male unbaptized child and make a flying potion out of it. And then you
Now, see, I knew that lore from the movie Warlock.
That's what I was going to say. It was mentioned. it was mentioned in another movie, but that is actually part of real witch lore. And then you see it when she's sitting there and she's spreading it all over her broom, and then she flies to the moon. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I got to stop you there. I think you don't have. I didn't know that witch lore, but I clearly knew that she was using the baby to give herself powers.
Yeah, and see,
I don't think that's I don't think that's a good example.
I've got more. Okay.
Ooh, give me more.
I'll give you more, baby.
More.
Okay, the second one. You know how many times you see the rabbit?
Yeah.
Yeah, that witch is familiar right there. You're not going to see a cat in the middle of the woods.
If I'm sorry, if you watched this movie and you didn't get that the witch is the bunny, then yes, I'll agree with the one critic who said that the most people who don't like this movie are not smart enough to understand it. If you didn't piece that together, then I have some VeggieTale movies for you to watch.
Yeah, and I mean,
those things are horrifying.
It's little things like that are through it. You know what I mean? Another one, you know what I'm saying? Like, the first time I watched the movie, I watched it on my iPad, so I really didn't get full clarity. But, so the second time I did, but yeah, her flying down on top of the little barn that they were in. The only thing that got me about that is how did she end up in the barn when the dad nailed all the wood up there?
Magic witch powers.
Yeah, she just appeared inside, I guess.
I actually have a full explanation for this.
Okay.
They don't show it, but you can safely assume she just turned into her bunny rabbit and fucking came in. I'm sure that there's a hole small enough for a bunny rabbit to fit into that raggedy ass barn.
Definitely, because the daughter's head could almost fit through the holes that he left. He did it pretty hastily.
Yeah, I mean, but,
So, now, okay.
And then another one, the signs of being bewitched. Most of the time, I honestly think I agree with the critic. People wouldn't have taken that into account. Like the first one that really stood out, because I looked for them the second time I watched it. The first one when she pulls the egg out and then she breaks it, she drops it and it's got like a half, a chicken fetus inside of it. You know what I'm saying? That was one of them. The goat, when she's milking the goat and the blood comes out of the goat, that's another one. And then on top of that, people taking into consideration that a witch's job was to be a servant of the devil. That was it. That's what she did. You know what I'm saying? And there was a whole coven of them, in the woods that never got explained until the end of it, which kind of pissed me off. But, overall, that was her sole job. So the link in with the Black Phillip devil thing, the devil that comes out and looks like a pirate, that kind of bothered me a little bit. When he walks behind her and whatever else he does, if you look at it, he looks like a pirate. But, that all linked together. The witch's sole purpose was to put this family through hell. And then I think, in my personal opinion, I think that the whole thing behind this is that, I think that they were trying to push the whole family to the edge, to the point to see who would go nutty enough or who would, to coin the phrase, come to the dark side. And I think Thomason was the one that actually chose to go. Because,
I feel like she was forced into it because she was like, no, I love God. And her dad was like, are you sure? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, are you sure? And if you make someone doubt something enough, eventually you're just going to say, okay, fuck it, I guess I am.
Yeah, you're right. I'll give you that.
I'm still not convinced on your original point that there's witch stuff in here that's not explained enough for a person to get, because I feel like they explained all the witch stuff greatly. I think that your point would be more important if I took the witch out like I want to, because then there would be a lot of stuff that you wouldn't put together, because besides them saying, oh, well, someone's a witch, you would have no fucking clue. But because the witch is there, if you, to quote Jay over here, if you lack the common sense, you're not going to put these together, but I think everyone would put this together.
And see,
As someone who did not really like the movie, because I'm kind of in the middle of you two guys, it seems. As someone who didn't really like the movie, but also knows pretty much everything that Kenneth knows about witch lore, the subtle hints that it gives you was one of my favorite things about it. Because they are super subtle, but like I said, if you have enough common sense, you figure them out. So that's kind of where I'm at with those.
But see, that's the difference. That's the difference between me and most people. I don't give the general audience enough credit for that much common sense. I really just don't.
I have to look at the audience for this movie, and I would think that the audience for this movie would not be your typical horror fan. I think this would be a slightly higher class.
Well, see, I'm gonna have to interject there. I'm in several different horror movie groups on Facebook, and there's so many people who saw it just because it was a horror movie. Because, I mean, action and comedy are probably the two most released in the theater, and I guess comic book movies if you want to put them in their own separate genre. So when a horror movie comes out in the theaters, most people just go see it because they're fans of horror, and there's so many people disappointed, and it's probably because of the subtle stuff that they just didn't pick up on. Because I'll definitely say that the subtle stuff adds to your enjoyment of the movie if you can pick up on it. Whereas if you'd missed it, then everything else would be even that much more boring.
Or they were disappointed because of the fucking art film pretending to be a horror movie.
Well, I mean, I'll give you an example. You know, the first time before I got to watch the movie, I had a friend of mine that I was working with at the time. You know, he said he went and saw it, and he absolutely hated it for that same thing. But he's also a gore hound. You know what I'm saying? That's his thing. You know, he's all into Eli Roth and Quentin Tarantino for all the gore and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's his thing, and he absolutely hated it. And when I actually watched it, I kind of picked up on that I honestly, you know, I agree with Jay. The general audience that goes in there and just sees it because it's a horror movie, you know, and the trailer was misleading too. You know,
yes, it's a complete bait and it's a bait and switch. Like, this is the horror movie. It's the new like they built up this movie as something creepy and spectacular. When I saw the trailers for this, I was like, this movie's gonna be fucked up, and it wasn't. It really wasn't that fucked up. It was pretty tame, and the whole time I was just kind of like, well, this shot's really pretty.
Well, I would say that the atmosphere is probably one of the best things the movie has going for it, and that's probably where all the critics are coming from who gave it these rave reviews that they could put on their trailer, because the atmosphere is done really well. It's just, for people like us, the payoff wasn't enough.
And see, for me, it was, you know, because I really, you know, the subtle hints that you point out, you know what I'm saying? Those are the things that made me love the movie even more, you know, because I liked all that thing. You know, I liked the focus on, like, when the boy comes back and he's all, you know, freaking out and laying down and he spits the apple out and all the rest of that. All those things that were added in, you know, those were the things that I liked about the movie. And then right after that, when the boy sounds like he's, you know, when he thinks that he's seeing Jesus, or maybe really is, you know, seeing Jesus as he's about to die, you know, all that mixed together in there, man. I mean, I loved it. I loved everything about it.
You know, maybe I am just still on the complete opposite side of the fence, because a lot of the stuff that y'all are calling subtle, I don't think are subtle. I don't think they were like, I felt like as soon as you saw it, you got it. It wasn't subtle. You knew exactly what it was because there's a fucking witch. Like, if you don't know that witches like bad apples, then I have to wonder where you grew up.
Well, that one wasn't really as subtle. But my point is, the reason why I like the thing about the apple is because of the emphasis that was put on earlier in the movie about how much the boy liked apples.
Okay, that's cute. But if we're going to talk about that, we're also going to talk about how much the boy liked his sister's titties.
And hence the reason.
Just as much.
Yeah,
hey, when you lock up people into a single cabin and tell them they're not allowed to have sexual thoughts, they're just going to be attracted to fucking table legs for all.
I've seen my fair share of table legs.
And if you look at it, man, in the
you.
1600s, you know, incest was rampant with families that lived out in the middle of nowhere in seclusion. So
that's true. I honestly think that I think Kenneth was bored this entire movie, and as soon as he saw Thomason's ass, he decided, well, I need to figure out reasons why I like this movie so I can keep watching it.
Actually, I really enjoyed her ass, but I was disappointed.
You don't see that until the final 5 minutes of the movie.
I know, and after that, he's like, okay, I need to figure out reasons why to like this movie.
I was actually more enthralled by the naked old lady.
For all us Game of Thrones fans. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still like on the fence where I respect the movie. I think it was very well done as a piece of art. It was just really, really good, really well done. It was just boring to me. I would love to re-edit the movie to just take out those witch scenes and see how different the movie feels if those were taken out. And I'm honestly debating on. I debated on trying to do that myself. I don't think I'm a good enough editor to do it.
I feel like I could do that.
I don't want to get the shit suit out of me.
Well, you don't distribute it. You just edit it for yourself and watch it.
Jay, you should totally edit it for him so that way he can watch it without it.
I might do that.
Yeah, I don't. That's. I think I've got my point across.
Yeah, I think both of our points are across. Kenneth loved it. I'm kind of in the middle. You didn't really like it at all.
I just thought it was boring as shit, and nothing happened, and the build-up was not worth it, and I just feel like take out the witch, and this would have been a really good movie.
But at the same time, it makes me want to go back and watch Warlock again.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that Warlock is a badass movie.
I have a better suggestion. You all come over, and we'll play the Warlock on the Super Nintendo.
That's a terrible idea and not worth the flight I'd have to take.
Well, we'll see with me. That would be awesome for me because I've never actually got to play that game.
Well, I have it.
Well, you know, you're only 5 hours away, so maybe I'll come up there.
That's true. So, do we have anything? Does anyone have anything they want to bring up before we end this lovely, lovely podcast?
About the witch? No, I'm done with that. I returned it to Redbox. It'll never grace my shelf.
It'll grace my shelf. The cover of it's really cool because it has the best thing in the movie on the front cover, and that's Black Phillip.
I really want a goat that big.
Is that the goat? I fucking love the goat.
You literally have Black Phillip tattooed on your fucking chest.
So, that goat was fucking huge. I have never seen a goat that big in real life.
Well, enhance your tattoo.
And I've seen
it was a witch goat. It was a devil goat.
I really want one.
Oh my god, I'm going to visit you one day and you're going to be like, come meet my new pet, Black Phillip.
Hell yeah, I'm going to have it in the backyard. You know what I'm saying? It's already fenced in back there, so, and I won't never have to cut the grass.
You just have to pick up a lot of shit.
It'll be alright. That's what I got Jade for.
You can make your daughter do it?
Hey man, this is living in the country.
That's true. So, everyone who enjoys Kill the Cast, this is our third podcast. The first one was done by Jay and I. The second one was done by Kenneth and I. The third one was done by all three. And Jay and I would like to officially welcome Kenneth as the third permanent member of Kill the Cast. We are a team that is going to bring our thoughts and views of horror to you. And we a lot of times have different opinions between the three of us. And that's what's going to make this very interesting as we continue down this path. If you have a movie that you would like to hear us review or talk about, please let us know, and we will definitely put it on our list and see what we get to. I have no idea what we're going to do next time, but this was a really fun episode. And I'm really glad.
I agree. I can't wait to dive into it deeper when I edit it and put the video version together.
Let's do Shyamalan next.
We can do it. We can do a Shyamalan episode.
I'm gonna kill myself live on podcast as soon as we get to the village.
We get so many views. That'd be awesome.
As soon as we get to the village, just fucking gun to the mouth, and I'm gonna blow my brains all over that airspace that apparently they got the government to make a no-fly zone. Fuck that movie.
Oh, yeah, and we're going to get into it again because I absolutely love that one too.
Oh,
I know
man.
you do.
So we've
weirdo.
all got some things lined up. Jerry put out the first Kill the Trailer YouTube episode. These are going to be short little reviews of trailers themselves, kind of just talking about the history of horror trailers, and then at the end of each video, whoever's making it will just say if they would or would not watch the movie based on it and why. We've got some special guests lined up in the coming months, talk about different horror-related things. I want to start doing top 10s for the YouTube channel. I'd like to talk about horror video games at some point. So we've got a lot of stuff in the works.
Yay, Silent Hill. Woo!
Silent Hill is amazing. And we really want this to be as fan interactive as possible. I know we've got less than 200 people on Facebook. We've got like 60 listens on the websites we put the podcast on. But if you're out there and you're actually listening to us, find us on Facebook, talk to us. There's 3 of us who have access to it. We'll respond to you at one point or another. We want to make this super fan interactive and just have a lot of fun with it.
I agree with everything he said. All of it. Every single bit. I agree. Silent Hill Revelations was such a good movie. I really can't wait for us to...
suck. How to blow your head off of that.
Man. I liked both Silent Hill movies for different reasons.
The first one was awesome. The second one sucked.
The second one had some great visuals, though.
Like, I really enjoyed Revelations. It's one of the only movies I saw in 3D that I actually thought the 3D was great throughout the entire movie because of its dark visuals. But, like, Kenneth, who's a huge Silent Hill fan, my girlfriend Reese, who's a huge Silent Hill fan, they both just give me the evilest
I'm a huge Silent Hill fan,
die look.
And I don't mind it. I think there's some stupid changes, but I'm just totally open when it comes to interpreting stories and making movies based on things.
As far as I'm concerned, if you put Jon Snow in the movie, it can't be a bad movie. And Jon Snow is in that movie.
That's true.
Yeah, well, I feel like if I ate a whole bunch of hallucinogenics before I watched it, I might have liked it.
Kenneth, we gave up that life. So, I think that's it for us. We had a great podcast. We will hopefully be back within a week or two. We don't have a set timeline for how we do these. We pick a movie, we do it, we find a day that we can all get together, and that's how we do it. So, thank you everyone for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, Podomatic, Stitcher, all that jazz, because that's my new favorite saying is all that jazz. So yeah, all that jazz, and we will see you next time on Kill the Cast.